Okay, let's take a look at Tesla stock, see where it might be headed in the future, what exactly is going on with the price. So as per usual, we're going to draw in a parallel channel here, connecting the previous highs. And if we align it with the lows that it also experienced, we can see that the stock has been trading in this kind of parallel channel. Price did try to revisit the top of the channel around $510, but was not quite able to get there, which is a bit of a bearish sign. The stock has since come down a little bit, roughly 20%. Now, I would expect the downside to continue here. Since you did try to tag the top of that channel but were unable to, I would imagine the next move for the stock would be to try to head back down to the bottom of the channel, or perhaps close to the bottom of it if you can't quite get all the way down. That would represent a further 55% down move. And certainly with the war beginning between the US and Iran, you've got to imagine that the markets may experience a bit more volatility and turbulence in the coming weeks, which I imagine could lead to a bit more of a sell-off on Tesla, although it's been relatively strong, sort of holding in this range, chopping around for some time. I do think once you break through these sort of levels of around $380, the stock will probably be heading down quite quickly. At that point, there is perhaps additional support around these sort of levels, $355 or so, but I would imagine you'll slowly sort of grind down, maybe even quickly grind down, close to the bottom of this parallel channel before potentially moving higher if the markets do rebound and are not due for a long sort of protracted bear market. So I would say it's definitely a little bit risky to be involved in the tech stocks at the moment, particularly a stock like Tesla where the valuation is quite stretched. You could see the price decline as a result of fears in the market. So that's the outlook for Tesla. Pretty straightforward. We could, of course, come back up and test this level. It will be around $520 on the top end, but you imagine that this trend line will be resistance in the future as it has been in the past. Just sort of a brick wall that price has not been able yet to break through. Of course, if it could, then we'd be looking at the hope for a retest of the parallel channel before heading higher, but that's not my base case. I think it's more likely you'll probably be heading down here before maybe getting a bounce and going from there. So overall, quite bearish on Tesla. We've also got to account for the potential SpaceX IPO, which may be coming as soon as March. I would imagine that that IPO will probably take a bit of the luster out of Tesla as a stock, people using it to have exposure to Elon Musk, essentially. And with SpaceX IPOing, I imagine you won't be able to justify the Tesla valuation to quite this extent. So I hope that's helpful if you're invested in Tesla or thinking of buying. Perhaps when we get down to the bottom of this parallel channel, it could be a good opportunity potentially if you're bullish on the stock. But with that being said, thanks very much for watching. Subscribe as always for daily videos. I've got a macro update coming tomorrow. Very interesting with the Iran war having just broken out. So stay tuned for that, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.